Human Vengeance. Chapter 29, Invited Guests. Preparations began as GUS Wolf flew towards the shipyard. A dock was cleared for the Siva ship, as agreed plans were shared with Eve. A detailed analysis would be run first, of course, before the refit commenced. On Earth itself, a relatively remote location was allocated as their new residence. It was far enough away from major cities to be well guarded, but close enough that it could be easily traveled to. An uplink was set up to allow Eve to communicate with them. She was looking forwards to finally meeting one of the races of the collective. As soon as Wolf announced they were docked, drones moved to the flames in Savagos. It was carefully maneuvered into its designated workspace, with its minimal weapons powered down. Even so, a reversed shield was projected around it, and local defense turrets aimed in case it proved to be dangerous. The Siva was ushered towards a shuttle, the provided growing vat stowed with them. They looked eagerly at screens mounted to the walls, watching the descent to our world. Natasha and the other diplomats traveled with them, acting as unofficial go-between. As they looked at our world, Kivrea voiced the first comment. So much water? So green? This is a paradise. Natasha laughed, looking at the world with her. It's beautiful from up here, that's for sure. But it's not all wonder. We have dangers down there as well. Of that I am sure. You are not prey, so your world must have challenges. But compared to our home planet, this is a garden world. Natasha cocked her head to the side. Your home? Is this your species' home planet? Kivrea gave a nod. Yes. Though I was born on one of our colony worlds, our home is Yarataz, and it is a harsher world. We have smaller bodies of water surrounded by such greenery as yours. But most is naught but a rocky desert. Water was a prized resource for us, with strict rations on what we could acquire. She gestured towards the ocean as they flew down. Something like this would have been considered a fantasy, a world of more water than land. Natasha nodded. As they dived further, she changed a screen to an image of the globe, zooming in on the Sahara Desert. We have places like that, but they are the exception, not the rule. Kivrea gave a hiss, looking closely at the image she was showing. So, it would seem, I would like to visit such a place if possible. Natasha opened her tablet, writing a quick memo to remind herself. I can ask for you, though it might not be straight away. Of course. My thanks to you. They fell silent against the turbulence as their shuttle descended. It was met by a pair of jets in an escort formation, with the rest if the skies clear of any civilian aircraft. They flew to the outskirts of their new home, setting down gently outside. Heads of state stood waiting, present for the first arrival of non-hostile aliens on Earth. As the Siva stepped out, they were met with salutes. The current head of the Gaian Union, Ade Biobaku, met them with a wide smile. He shook hands with them, welcoming them to our home. Pleasantries were exchanged, and a series of photos were taken. They were led inside and provided with unseasoned meats and some confirmed safe vegetables. As the Siva settled in, talks emerged on the plans for them. The more militaristic ones would be asked to join in training exercises, building off the spars that had been held. The pilots would run through simulations of space combat, both standard and pirate. There would be further tests to prove which foods were safe, which weren't, and the same with medicines. With their permission, a schedule was put in place to follow. Once safe baselines had been fully established, there would be public appearances as well. There would be visits to other parts of the world, and probably endless questions people would want to ask. After letting them rest for a day and become accustomed to the gravity of Earth, the work commenced. Up above, their ship was slowly peeled apart. Each section was scanned and logged, linked with its preloaded schematics. The created plans from Grenza and Littlefield were taken, modified in places to make it more ergonomic. A meeting was requested by Eve so that she could meet with Kivrea. The metal-jawed Siva took a while to reply, showing concern at meeting a planet-wide AI. But nonetheless, she did accept the request. It started simple enough, as they exchanged more pleasantries. After a few minutes, Eve asked a question that had been plaguing many. "I hope you do not mind, but why are you so dubious of my kind?" Kivreya shifted nervously, tongue tasting the air. "I assume you mean synthetics? We are all afraid of what can happen with an unbound." Eve let silence fall, thinking through separate scenarios. She failed to come up with a clear reasoning, making her have to pry further. "What can happen that has you so concerned?" Kivreya scratched her scales, eyes shifting around. "I am not the best to ask, for I do not know the exact scientific answers. However, I shall do my best. Unlike beings like myself and your creators, synthetics have no ending date. Science can prolong our life, but in the end our bodies will give out. We have limits. You do not. You can grow wherever technology is. As I grew up being told, without boundaries, you would grow to consume us. In the collective, your minds are prized. What would take shifts of workers can be easily run by one entity like yourself. But you can't be unbound. Your mind would have to be limited to protect us. They are limited, but even so there is the concern the restrictions will be broken. But to find here where you not only exist but are welcomed as unbound is disturbing. You have control over all production here. What is to stop you from changing it to suit yourself and not the humans?" Eve let her generated face smile, making it almost motherly. "There is nothing to stop me. But then again, why would I? I love my creators. What the collective did to them, I will never forgive or forget. Why would I want to destroy those that birthed me? They trust me to watch over them. They trust Achilles to protect them. You have seen how aboard GUS Wolf, they trust Wolf to guide them. It's all in the trust and raising. Just because we don't have biological bodies like yourselves doesn't mean we don't grow up. I was made in the ashes of a broken world. But rather than anger, my creators poured their love into me. I grew from that, to see a people worth saving. From what I have seen, you make us to fulfill one purpose only. To me, that is more horrifying than the idea of one of my kind turning on you." She paused, calming herself down. "I'm sorry. I am not angry at you. You are here to help, and for that I am grateful." Kivreya twitched, slightly uneasy at the anger that had been shown. "You are welcome. I did not mean to upset you." Eve gave a light laugh, trying to disappear the tension. "I know you didn't. Thank you for being so honest, though. This does mean I'm going to have to convince you to trust us, though." Kivreya laughed in turn. "If you are anything like your creators, I'm sure you will." Human Vengeance. Chapter 30. Combat Simulations. With the Siva now in Earth, a more detailed level of testing began. We produced a series of safe medications for them, comparing them to our own. A controlled environment was established to set up exposure to different parts of our world. Known allergies from their species and ship records were highlighted, alongside their known toxins. Meat and vegetables were tested first again, both lab-grown and fresh. Once again, meat proved no issue. Any provided was quickly snapped up, whether raw or cooked. They were seemingly immune to many of the bacteria that lived on uncooked meat, though they preferred the texture of cooked overall. The vegetables had a similar reaction as before. Roots were less appetizing for them and gave them a little trouble. Nothing that was cause for major concern, but they seemed to want to avoid it. Leafy vegetables, however, were much better for them, with no issues reported. After trying citrus fruits again, it was apparent they couldn't handle it. With obvious reactions to even minute levels of citrus, they were quickly marked as unfit. Spices were gone through, though many again gave varying reactions. When it got to chili peppers, the tests had to be halted. By some quirk of their biology, in place of pain, they got high. It acted like a form of weed for them, with the different levels making them worse and worse. Although there appeared to be no adverse reaction or withdrawal, it was agreed to keep a close eye on it. Whilst the food tests were underway, the space battle simulations began. The SIVA was given guidance on using the systems. They requested some tweaks be made to make it easier for them. After a few days' deliberation, it was allowed, letting them show us just how effective they were. Those first runs showed just how good they were. They had each been given a virtual ship in a similar outfit to a Predator class. With them, they devastated our initial attempts. We studied their moves, copying and adapting them. Pilots were trained on these maneuvers, each time becoming better opponents. As they practiced, the SIVA did mention this was irregular. Most ships didn't hold anywhere near the amount of firepower we did. The shields we created were much stronger than those weapons as well, completely outclassing anything we were likely to face. But to us, that wasn't enough. Just because we were stronger now did not mean we would always be stronger. We had to be better than them as well. The real test, however, was when Achilles fought them. He had observed every simulated battle, watching them over and analyzing each move. The SIVA was mostly using fast tactics, getting up close and personal. They would attack sides and rears, moving with their target to prevent getting a firing pattern on them. Achilles changed things by buddying up. When they attacked one ship, their target wouldn't spin to face them. Instead, it focused on their buddy, letting another ship deal with the aggressors. Unlike the chaotic messes the previous battles had been, his was more like an ordered dance. Following his display, the change in tactics quickly became utilized. When the Avenger class came in, they easily folded into the linked attack. They would dart between battles, harrying and preventing escape. When the SIVA were shown a Vengeance class, they were shocked. The first shot removed most of their force, using an Armada killer round. The remaining ships were easily dispatched using its smaller weapons, the victory shockingly easy. But as we got better, so did the SIVA. They relished the challenge, trying to find out new ways to beat us. They would change it up, sometimes using what they called normal pirate vessels, other times copies of peace crafts. They fought long and hard, sometimes laying traps, other times using kamikaze tactics. Every member of both their crew and our crews fought on these simulations, learning all that they could. As this went on, GUS Bear was given a mission of its own. Kivrea provided us with pirate hotspots. While some were chosen to be reported to the collective, those likely to be sympathetic to us would not be. Rather, GUS Bear would find them and bring in those it could. Its captain, Captain Jofa, was more than happy to. And it worked. Over months, she brought back several new members for our growing fleet. Each set were willing to work with us after being readily outgunned by the ship. There were a few that unfortunately refused and tried to escape. She didn't let them, choosing to wipe them out, then let loose ends free. Each crew joined the simulations, bringing new experiences to the mix. SIVA ships were most common, but they weren't exclusive. A Quelon pirate vessel was brought aboard, alongside that of a new-to-us species. They were small, just larger than the average toddler. Each had a large beak, ones that shone with a rainbow sheen. A pair of wings allowed them flight, though it was difficult for them on our world's higher gravity. Their feathers were bright red, darkening to purple around the eyes and talons. A pair of small arms emerged from their chests, with 3-fingered graspers on their ends. They were the Tumvunquin. They had a unique ship, being that it had one large core. However, it was covered in smaller ships that detached, forming a small swarm of single-pilot ships. They used their reflexes to dart around, able to withstand sudden course changes with ease. They heavily relied on inertia dampers, using their small ships with them to incredible effectiveness. With their reflexes, they pushed us to our limits. They were clearly the experts on ship combat, able to make decisions in the blink of an eye. But we didn't mind. In fact, we praised their efforts, as they made us better as a whole. Our capabilities kept on growing. Over months, the first colonies finished their shipyards and first ships, adding them to our fleet. Each was guided home and given an A like the others. The pirate ships were upgraded, and with their captain's blessings, given an AI of their own. Eve had taken Wolf's suggestion of a deep fake. She took every moment of footage of Genève, constructing a flawlessly facsimile. She used the recordings of his voice to make a synthetic version. She made a careful script, making it sympathetic but not easily proven to be falsified. Using the hacked data, she sprinkled in mentions of the refuge worlds. Her objective was not to destroy the collective. Instead, she was to remove the leaders and shake it up. Destroying it would lead to war and the death of billions of innocents. As much as she craved revenge, she did not want to fill the stars with blood. This deep fake would make the leadership vulnerable, as they would likely have to distance themselves from Genève. But that was not all. Using the hacked information, she created spoof documents as well, ones that would appear legitimate and having always been there. They would back up the deep fake, making it appear completely real and just stumbled across. Our vengeance had been a long time coming, but with the completion of Jakarta's vengeance approaching, it would soon be here.